There are people who don't just steal your time, they steal your peace, your energy, and sometimes even your dreams. They are masters of manipulation, experts at draining you emotionally and making you believe you need them in your life. But here's the truth. You don't have to carry their burden. You're not here to save those who choose to live in their own chaos. The most devastating part is realizing that your kindness and effort are not only ignored, but exploited. Every sacrifice you make to help them doesn't bring them closer to change. It only reinforces their comfort zone, while you exhaust yourself trying to rescue them from an abyss they don't even want to leave. How much longer will you let these people dictate your life? Stoic philosophy offers us the map to navigate these storms. It teaches us to distinguish between those who deserve our efforts and those who are an emotional drain. You'll learn to set boundaries, say enough without guilt, and focus your energy on people who truly bring value to your life. In this Stoic session, we'll uncover the 10 types of people who destroy your peace and how Stoicism can be your tool to free yourself from them. By the time we reach the final type, I guarantee you'll understand why continuing to tolerate them is one of the costliest decisions you can make. Stay with me, because this knowledge has the power to transform not just your surroundings, but your entire life. Before we begin, I want you to declare your commitment by leaving this phrase in the comments. Starting today, I choose relationships that nurture my peace and growth. Let this phrase be a reminder that you are here to learn how to identify and distance yourself from those who drain your energy, focusing instead on building a life filled with virtue, clarity, and serenity. This is the moment to show yourself that you deserve to be surrounded by people who elevate your path, not obstruct it. Let's begin now. Number 1. The unchanging. Those who refuse to change and drain your energy. In life, you'll encounter people who seem to live on opposite extremes. Some embrace change and grow, while others cling to the past as if it's their only safe haven. Today, let's talk about the unchanging, the kind of person who, despite having every opportunity in front of them, chooses to stay put. They prefer to remain in their comfort zone, complain about the unfairness of the world, and resist any form of evolution. Sound familiar? You've probably tried helping someone like this before. You've invested your time, effort, and energy to lend them a hand, only to find an unbreakable barrier. This person doesn't want to leave the place they're in, not because they can't, but because they choose not to. Picture this. You're on a sinking ship. You're doing everything you can to row to safety, but the unchanging decides to sit still, lamenting the cold water and blaming the wind or life itself for the storm. You offer them a life preserver, but they reject it, claiming they don't need it. Meanwhile, the ship continues to fill with water, threatening to drag you down too, unless you're careful. The Stoic lesson for dealing with the unchanging Stoic philosophy gives us an essential lesson. Don't waste your energy trying to change what's beyond your control. If someone isn't ready to change, it's not a reflection of your inability to help. It's simply their resistance, which is out of your hands. The Stoics encourage us to focus on what we can control, our own emotions, decisions, and actions. If the unchanging chooses to stay where they are, that's their decision, and it's not your responsibility to carry the burden of their refusal to change. Strategies for handling the unchanging one. Set clear boundaries. It's easy to get consumed by the desire to help, but if you don't define how much time and energy you're willing to invest, you risk becoming emotionally drained. Remember, your well-being should always come first. 2. Encourage self-reflection. Instead of imposing solutions, guide them towards self-reflection. Ask questions like, what steps do you think you could take to improve this situation? What's truly holding you back? This approach prompts them to think without feeling attacked or pressured. 3. Accept what you can't change. Some people simply aren't ready to grow, and that's okay. Learning to let go and allowing others to follow their own path is a lesson in Stoic wisdom. You're not responsible for saving someone who doesn't want to be saved. 4. Protect your energy. You can't pour from an empty cup. Devote your time and effort to those who value and are ready to receive your help. Your energy is limited and precious. The impact of the unchanging on your life. Trying to change someone who doesn't want to change can be exhausting. Frustration builds, you begin to doubt your ability to help, and in some cases, you might even start neglecting yourself. The unchanging not only stalls their own growth, but also negatively affects those around them. The Stoics remind us that we can't carry the weight of others. The virtue lies in knowing when to help and when to let go. If someone isn't ready to evolve, the best thing you can do is respect their decision and focus on your own journey. A reflection to let go. As Epictetus said, it's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Applying this idea, understand that the unchanging's refusal to change is not your responsibility or burden. Don't let their attitude steal your peace of mind. The next time you try to help someone who refuses to move, ask yourself, am I respecting my own boundaries? Sometimes the greatest act of help is to observe from a distance and let each person walk their path at their own pace. In summary, the unchanging can remain on their drifting ship while you decide whether to stay with them or take the helm of your own life. Not everyone is ready to change, and that's not your fight. Reserve your energy for those who are prepared to receive it. In a world full of distractions, this space is a refuge for those who value the power of reflection and personal growth. If you're ready to reclaim control of your life and inspire others, hit like and subscribe. Every action helps spread this powerful Stoic wisdom to more people. Without further ado, let's continue. Number 2. The manipulator. The emotional vampire who feeds on your kindness. In life, we don't always encounter people who truly value what we give. Sometimes we come across the manipulator, a figure who doesn't need fangs to drain our energy because they've mastered the art of playing with emotions and exploiting our kindness. They're like an actor who always finds the perfect role to make us the heroes of their problems, while they remain comfortably cast as the victim. Has this ever happened to you? You try to help someone because it feels like the right thing to do, but slowly you realize that no matter how much you give, it's never enough. The manipulator knows how to trap you in an endless cycle of giving. At first, it seems like a relationship of mutual support, but soon you find yourself constantly losing time, energy, and even peace of mind. The manipulator in action. How to recognize them. 1. Their main weapon, guilt. The manipulator has a gift for making you feel guilty if you don't meet their demands. Their phrases often sound like, "How can you say no after everything I've been through? I thought we were friends, I didn't expect this from you." It's a psychological game where your good intentions are used as a tool for control. 2. A never-ending drama. They always have a tragic story to tell, a complicated situation to resolve, and of course, you are the only one who can help them. Their problems feel like they're straight out of a soap opera, intense, repetitive, and designed to awaken your compassion. 3. You become their psychologist, rescuer, and financial support. No matter how many solutions you offer, they always find a way to end up back at square one. The manipulator doesn't want to improve because doing so would mean losing the control they have over you. Stoic lessons for handling manipulators. The Stoics, in their infinite wisdom, teach us to protect our inner peace. We can't control the intentions of others, but we can decide how much we allow them to influence our lives. As Epictetus reminds us, No one can harm you without your consent. This truth is especially relevant when dealing with manipulators. 1. Set firm boundaries. Saying no isn't selfish, it's necessary. Your well-being should never be negotiable. If you feel someone is crossing your limits, pause and establish healthy distance. 2. Don't let guilt guide you. If you start feeling guilty every time you say no, take a moment to reflect. Are you truly failing someone, or are you simply protecting yourself from a harmful cycle? The Stoics teach us that guilt only makes sense when we act against our principles, not when we prioritize our peace. 3. Help with wisdom. Helping doesn't mean sacrificing yourself. If you choose to offer support, do so on your own terms, and only to the extent that it doesn't compromise your well-being. As Seneca said, generosity should not come from excess, but from prudence. The manipulator's trap: losing yourself. Engaging with a manipulator can lead you to lose sight of your own needs. Each time you fall into their game, you reinforce their dependency and neglect your autonomy. Instead of feeling useful, you end up emotionally drained, as if your life revolves around solving other people's problems. The manipulator doesn't need to be saved because their real goal isn't to find a solution. It's to perpetuate control. If you continue allowing them to use you, you compromise not only your peace, but also your ability to help those who genuinely need it. Strategies to free yourself. 1. Recognize the signs early. If you notice repetitive patterns of manipulative behavior, take action before it becomes a habit. 2. Communicate your boundaries clearly. Sometimes a firm and kind no is more powerful than 1,000 reluctant yeses. If someone respects you, they will understand your limits. 3. Reflect on your role. Ask yourself, am I helping build something positive or perpetuating a harmful cycle? Does my support truly make a difference, or does it only fuel their dependency? 4. Prioritize your well-being. You are not responsible for saving everyone. As Marcus Aurelius said, choose your battles wisely and don't waste energy on what cannot be changed. A reflection to let go. Helping others is a noble act, but only when it comes from a place of clarity and balance. The manipulator thrives on your unchecked compassion, but true compassion also includes protecting yourself. The next time you find yourself caught in one of their endless stories, remember, you are not the hero of their life, and that's okay. In Seneca's words, he who gives without measure will end up with nothing to offer. Learn to distinguish between those who genuinely need your help and those who only seek to take advantage of it. Your energy is finite, and reserving it for those who truly value it is an act of self-love. Are you ready to say no firmly and protect your peace? You are the guardian of your boundaries. Number 3, the victim, the martyr of endless excuses. In the theater of life, the victim always finds a role, the misunderstood martyr. This is the person who seems to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, not because life is particularly harsh on them, but because they've perfected the art of blaming everyone but themselves. Their boss, friends, family, even the universe are the villains in their never-ending tragedy. It's not my fault. The world is against me. If it weren't for them, everything would be different. These phrases form the victim's mantra, a character who doesn't seek solutions, but an audience to hear their endless repertoire of complaints. But what lies behind this attitude? Why does someone choose to live as a victim rather than take control of their life? The nature of the victim. Blame and excuses. The victim doesn't just resist change, they find comfort in self-pity. They prefer to see the world as a hostile place rather than accept their own responsibility. It's like a sailor blaming the sea, the wind, and the sharks for their failure without ever attempting to learn how to sail. Imagine having a conversation with a victim. At first, you sympathize with their tales of injustice, but soon you realize that everything that happens to them has one common denominator. Others are always to blame. My boss doesn't recognize my talent. My friends don't support me like they should. The universe conspires against me. As you listen, you wonder, what are you doing to change your situation? But that question doesn't fit the victim's narrative. Introspection isn't part of their script. The cost of engaging with a victim. Interacting with a victim can be exhausting. Trying to help them is like offering a map to someone who insists the path is poorly designed. No matter how much you try to guide them toward a solution, they will always find a way back to square one. It's everyone else's fault but theirs. This behavior doesn't just affect them, it affects you too. You can find yourself trapped in their emotional whirlwind, wearing yourself out emotionally as you try to solve problems that aren't yours. Stoic lessons for managing the victim. The Stoics teach us that we cannot control the actions of others, only our reactions. Instead of getting caught up in the victim's drama, use these strategies to protect your peace and wisdom. 1. Offer clarity, not comfort. The victim needs a mirror, not a safety net. Instead of participating in their narrative, help them reflect with direct questions. What could you do differently? What have you tried to solve this problem? 2. Don't become their savior. While compassion is a virtue, it doesn't mean taking on the weight of other people's problems. As Epictetus said, life doesn't happen to you, you make life happen. If the victim isn't willing to change, your help will only perpetuate their cycle. 3. Set clear boundaries. Don't let their attitude drain your energy. Learn to say no firmly and maintain emotional distance when necessary. 5. Teach by example. Sometimes the best way to help is by being a beacon of light. Show through your actions that change is possible and that taking responsibility is the first step toward a fulfilling life. A Stoic reflection for the victim. The victim's problem isn't adversity, it's their inability to accept it as part of life. The Stoics understood that suffering is inevitable, but they also knew that our perception of suffering is up to us. As Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. If the victim could adopt this perspective, they would learn that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. But as long as they cling to their excuses, they will keep sailing in circles, unable to move forward. How to break free from the victim's cycle. 1. Evaluate your role. Ask yourself if your help is contributing to change or simply feeding their narrative. 2. Prioritize your peace. Don't feel guilty for protecting your emotional well-being. Remember, you're not responsible for other people's happiness. 3. Accept that not everyone is ready to change. Some people prefer to stay in their comfort zone, no matter how limited it may be. Don't waste your energy trying to convince them otherwise. A final Stoic reminder. The victim doesn't need your pity, they need to wake up. But that awakening must come from them, not you. Your role isn't to be their rescuer, but to model what it means to take responsibility for your life. The next time you hear their endless list of complaints, remember Seneca's words. Fortune has no power over the wise soul. You decide how much influence others have over your peace and clarity. If the victim isn't ready to change, let them follow their own path. Your energy is meant for greater things. If you've made it this far, it's because you're ready to surround yourself with the right people and reclaim the energy you deserve. Subscribe and comment, I choose relationships that elevate my life, to affirm your commitment to a balanced and authentic life. This is just the first step toward creating an environment that fosters your growth and well-being. By the time we reach the 10th type of person, you'll discover a key lesson that could transform the way you choose who surrounds you. Let's continue. Number 4, the narcissist, the mirror that's never satisfied. In the fascinating theater of human relationships, the narcissist takes center stage, not as one actor among many, but as the absolute protagonist. This is the type of person who, like a child constantly raising their hand, shouts, look at me," while juggling their ego. Their goal is not to solve problems or find solutions, but to ensure the spotlight never stops shining on them. The narcissist lives in a world that revolves exclusively around themselves. From family gatherings to social media, they turn every interaction into a stage for reaffirming their importance. However, behind this relentless pursuit of validation lies an emptiness that can never be filled. The narcissist, a protagonist with no interest in others. Imagine the narcissist as a bottomless pit. No matter how much attention you pour into them, it will never be enough. Instead, your generosity, advice, and even support dissolve into the void of their insatiable need for admiration. This kind of person wants more than attention. They want everything to revolve around them. Their problems, stories, and achievements, whether real or exaggerated, dominate every interaction. However, when you try to offer solutions or guidance, the response is always the same: disinterest. The narcissist doesn't seek to change or grow, they seek to be seen. To them, the solutions you offer are merely another stage on which they can shine a little brighter. The impact of the narcissist on your life. Interacting with a narcissist can be exhausting. Like a garden overrun with weeds, investing in them yields no fruit. Instead, they drain you, turning your time and energy into a currency you'll never get back. Stoic philosophy reminds us that our actions must align with what we can control. Helping a narcissist is, in many cases, like fighting the tide. Seneca might have put it best: time is the only wealth we truly possess. Use it wisely. How to identify a narcissist? 1. They always seek to be the center of attention. No matter the occasion or context, they'll find a way to redirect the conversation to themselves. 2. They reject solutions. While they complain about their problems, any advice you offer will be ignored. They're not looking to resolve anything, just to be heard. 3. They use emotional manipulation. If you don't give them the attention they want, they'll try to make you feel guilty or unsympathetic. 4. They're never satisfied. No matter how much support you give them, they'll always demand more. Their validation depends entirely on external factors. Stoic lessons for dealing with a narcissist. The Stoics teach us to prioritize what's essential and protect our inner peace. Applying these teachings when dealing with a narcissist is key to avoiding being dragged into their whirlwind of attention and ego. 1. Set firm boundaries. Your time and energy are valuable resources. Learn to say no without guilt. You're not obligated to feed their constant need for validation. 2. Accept what you cannot change. You can't alter a narcissist's nature, but you can decide how you interact with them. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens, but how we perceive it that affects our peace. 3. Invest in those who value your help. Instead of wasting time on someone who doesn't appreciate your support, focus on those who truly value your efforts. Helping others shouldn't come at the cost of your well-being. 4. Be selective with your battles. Not every struggle is worth fighting. Choose carefully where and how to engage. A Stoic reflection: loving without becoming a spectator. The narcissist invites you to join their drama, but as the Stoics teach, You're not here to be a background character in someone else's life. Marcus Aurelius might say it this way: choose your companions carefully, for your character will be shaped by those around you. The narcissist doesn't need a savior, they need a reflection, but that doesn't have to be your role. You can show empathy without allowing their presence to disrupt your inner balance. How to free yourself from the narcissist 1. Protect your time. Remember, time is an irreplaceable resource. Prioritize relationships that nurture you and avoid those that drain you. 2. Maintain control over your emotions. Narcissists are experts at triggering guilt or frustration. Practice self-mastery and don't let their behavior dictate your reactions. 3. Offer limited help. If you choose to help, do so with clear purpose and defined boundaries. Don't get swept away by their constant demand for attention. The narcissist in a Stoic context. For the Stoics, true wisdom lies in recognizing our limitations and acting accordingly. Seneca reminds us, true wealth is not in accumulating, but in knowing where and how to give. Don't waste your emotional resources on someone who isn't willing to receive them meaningfully. When interacting with a narcissist, ask yourself, am I cultivating something valuable or merely feeding an insatiable need? If the answer is the latter, take a step back. Life is too short to be an extra in someone else's drama. Remember, your energy is meant for relationships and experiences that thrive, not for bottomless pits. You decide which garden deserves your time and love. Number 5. The time waster. The invisible thief of your hours. In a world where time is more valuable than money, there's a type of person who treats it as if it's limitless, theirs to use and waste at will. This character, whom we'll call the time waster, enters your life with an agenda packed with unnecessary interruptions, so-called urgent demands that aren't urgent, and a total disregard for your priorities. Imagine your time as a treasure chest, limited and precious. Now think of the time waster as a thief trying to steal it piece by piece, disguised as a friend, co-worker, or even a family member. This is the kind of person who ignores your boundaries, schedules, and needs, always acting as if their time is more important than yours. The modus operandi of the time waster. This type of person has a special knack for showing up at the most inconvenient moments, whether you're working on an important project, relaxing in your free time, or simply enjoying some peace and quiet. There they are, asking for favors or distracting you with trivialities. Their unspoken motto seems to be, your schedule is made to be ignored. It doesn't matter if you have an appointment, a deadline, or just need a moment to breathe. For them, their needs will always take precedence over your plans. Does this sound familiar? You've probably experienced the frustration of wanting to say no, but not knowing how. However, Stoic philosophy reminds us that we are the masters of our time, and allowing others to waste it is ultimately our responsibility. The impact of not protecting your time. Letting someone constantly invade your time affects more than just your productivity. It takes a toll on your emotional well-being. The Stoics teach that time is our most valuable resource because it's irretrievable. Seneca, in one of his letters, reflects, it's not that we have too little time, but that we waste much of it. And often, we waste it on people who don't respect its value. By ignoring the importance of safeguarding your time, you become a passive spectator of your own life, allowing others to decide for you how to spend your hours. The result is frustration, exhaustion, and worst of all, the sense that you're not making progress toward your own goals. How to recognize a time waster 1. They ignore your boundaries. They show up unannounced, interrupt your focus, and expect you to drop everything for them. 2. They always have urgent demands. Everything they need seems like an immediate priority, even when it rarely is. 3. They make you feel guilty for saying no. They know how to manipulate your emotions to make you feel obligated to meet their demands. 4. They minimize your commitments. Your plans or responsibilities don't matter to them. They believe your time is always flexible for their needs. Stoic lessons for managing. The time waster. Stoic philosophy provides practical tools for dealing with these individuals and protecting what matters most: your time and mental tranquility. 1. Set clear boundaries. Define how much time you're willing to dedicate and communicate those limits firmly. As Epictetus said, always remember that you have the power to decide what you allow into your life. 2. Learn to say no. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, it's a sign of respect for yourself. Practice declining with kindness but firmness. 3. Prioritize your needs. Make a list of your priorities and stick to it. Before responding to any request, ask yourself if the action aligns with your personal goals or if you're simply trying to please someone else. 4. Avoid justifying yourself. You don't need to explain every no you give. Sometimes silence or a brief response is enough. A Stoic reflection: value your time. Like a philosopher would, the Stoics encourage us to see time as the most precious asset we possess. Seneca put it plainly: people are cautious with their money, but not with their time. Yet time is more valuable than money. Imagine your time as a garden. Every minute you spend with purpose is like a flower growing and blooming. But allowing a time waster to occupy your space is like letting weeds take over your garden. You have the ability to decide what to cultivate and what to remove. Practical actions to reclaim your time. 1. Block out time for yourself in your schedule. Protect yourself from the time waster by reserving moments in your calendar for work, rest, or simply being with yourself. 2. Use the power of silence. Sometimes the best way to deal with these people is not to respond immediately. Make it clear that your time isn't available to everyone and everything. 3. Evaluate the relationships in your life. If someone consistently doesn't value your time, it might be time to reconsider how much space you allow them in your life. The time waster in a Stoic context. For the Stoics, living with purpose means seizing every moment as an opportunity to grow and contribute. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reflects: think of how much you could achieve if you didn't allow distractions to dominate you. So, the next time someone tries to steal your time with unnecessary demands or constant interruptions, remember that you have the power to decide how you use it. Like a true Stoic, prioritize what truly matters and don't hesitate to set boundaries with those who don't value your time. Your time is your life. Protect both with the firmness and clarity of a philosopher. Number 6. The deaf one. The person who listens but never acts. In the journey of personal relationships, sooner or later, we encounter a frustrating and exasperating character: the deaf one. This person nods enthusiastically at your words, as if absorbing every piece of advice you offer, only to let it drift away like leaves carried by the wind. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole at the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, nothing stays. The deaf one doesn't openly reject your help, but invalidates it through inaction. The challenge of helping the deaf one. Imagine being a soccer coach designing a flawless strategy to win the game. You tell a player to move to the left to avoid the defense, but on the field they stand still, or worse, run in the opposite direction. That's the deaf one. They hear your instructions but choose to ignore them. Helping this person becomes an exercise in patience. It's a constant cycle of conversations that lead nowhere, where your efforts feel like throwing stones into an endless abyss. The Stoics with their focus on self-discipline and control over one's actions, teach us not to waste energy on what we cannot change. And sometimes the deaf one is simply unwilling to change. The nature of the deaf one. Chronic inaction. They listen to your words but lack the drive to apply them. It's not about inability, it's about a comfortable refusal to leave their comfort zone. 2. Disguised disinterest. They seem interested in your advice, but their attention is superficial. In the end, they always return to their old patterns. 3. Resistance to change. Even when the consequences of their inaction are clear, the deaf one remains trapped in a cycle of apathy, as if waiting for solutions to appear on their own. How to handle the deaf one from a Stoic perspective. 1. Set clear boundaries. Helping someone doesn't mean sacrificing your energy. Recognize when your words fall on deaf ears and learn to limit your efforts. 2. Let life teach them. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the best lessons often come from the consequences of one's decisions. Allow the deaf one to face the outcomes of their inaction. Sometimes silence and experience are the best teachers. 3. Redirect your efforts. Not everyone is ready to listen and act. Instead of insisting, focus your time and energy on people who genuinely value your support and are willing to grow. As Seneca said, energy wasted on those who don't appreciate it is a form of self-defeat. 4. Choose your battles wisely. You cannot save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Accept that not everyone is prepared for change, and that's okay. Your role isn't to change others, but to offer wisdom to those who seek it intentionally. A Stoic reflection on the deaf one. The Stoics invite us to accept reality as it is, without becoming frustrated by what we cannot control. As Epictetus said, it's not what happens that disturbs us, but our interpretation of it. Understanding that the deaf one isn't ready for change can free your mind from frustration. It's not about abandoning people, but about being mindful of where your energy is best invested. Remember, you're not a parrot destined to repeat advice endlessly. Your time and words have value, and it's your responsibility to direct them toward those who can genuinely benefit. A Stoic metaphor: the garden and the seeds. Helping someone who doesn't listen is like planting seeds in infertile soil. No matter how much you water and care for them, there will be no fruits. Instead, if you choose the right soil, you can cultivate meaningful and productive relationships. The power of saying no. Saying no to the deaf one isn't an act of selfishness, it's an act of wisdom. It's recognizing that you can't control the actions of others, only your own. As the Stoics taught, learn to let go of what's beyond your control and focus your attention on what truly matters. Conclusion: not everyone is ready to listen. The deaf one doesn't need more words, they need to face reality. Your role isn't to persist, but to offer help with wisdom and clarity. As Marcus Aurelius said, don't waste the rest of your life complaining. Act where you can and accept where you cannot. The next time you encounter someone who doesn't value your advice, remember, sometimes the best help you can give is allowing them to learn on their own. Your energy is a valuable resource. Use it with purpose and wisdom. Number 7. The dramatist, the artist of the theatre of suffering. In the theatre of life, we all play different roles, but there is one character who always seems to take drama to the extreme: the dramatist. This is the person who turns every minor discomfort into a Shakespearean tragedy and every casual conversation into an epic lament. If you've ever felt trapped in their endless play, this chapter is for you. The dramatist's role in life's theatre. Imagine that every interaction with this person feels like attending a dramatic performance where they always have the starring role, whether it's because their coffee was terribly cold or because the whole world conspires against them. The dramatist finds a reason to make any situation monumental. No matter what you do for them, every gesture, piece of advice, or kind word seems only to fuel their tragic narrative. Trying to help them is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Your efforts, no matter how well-intentioned, only intensify the spectacle. Stoicism and setting boundaries with the dramatist. The Stoics taught the importance of not wasting energy on what is beyond our control. The dramatist perfectly embodies this principle. No matter how much you try to influence their perspective, they remain trapped in their cycle of negativity. 1. Set clear boundaries. Dealing with the dramatist can be exhausting if you don't protect your personal space. Imagine you're a photographer seeking beautiful landscapes. Spending too much time with them will fill your gallery with shadows and storms. Don't hesitate to say no when their negativity starts to invade your peace. 2. Practice compassion from a distance. Feeling empathy for them doesn't mean getting involved in their drama. Visualize a protective bubble around yourself, allowing you to show compassion without letting their energy consume you. Think of it as being a superhero who saves lives without being caught in the plot. How to deal with the dramatist without losing your peace. Be a mirror, not a savior. Instead of offering them solutions or advice they're likely to ignore, ask questions that lead them to reflect. For example, is everything really as bad as you say? This kind of interaction might help them view the situation more objectively, though it's not a guaranteed change. Use humor as a shield. Sometimes a dose of humor can diffuse their tragic narrative. Respond with something light-hearted like, "How did you survive the apocalypse this time?" This can help them realize the exaggeration in their perspective, encouraging them to relax and take a step back from their own drama. Accept the reality of their nature. Some people find comfort in their role as the martyr. It's important to accept that despite your best efforts, the dramatist may not be willing to change. Instead of getting frustrated, focus your energy on those who truly want to grow and move forward. A Stoic metaphor, fighting the ocean. Trying to help the dramatist is like trying to bail water out of the ocean. Your efforts are commendable, but in the end, the ocean remains the ocean. You cannot change the nature of the water, but you can decide where to sail. The Stoic lesson. Be selective with your energy. Stoic philosophy teaches us that not every problem is ours to solve, and not every person is ready to leave behind their narrative of suffering. As Epictetus said, "Do not waste your energy on what you cannot control." Sometimes the best way to help someone is to let them learn from their own experiences. Your energy is valuable and deserves to be invested in those who seek change, not in those trapped in the theater of the absurd. Final reflection. Life is too short to become a supporting character in someone else's drama. Surround yourself with those who celebrate life, even in its darkest moments, and remember, you are the author of your story. Don't let the dramatist's script define your days. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Inner peace begins when you decide with whom to share your time. Make your life a show worthy of reflection, one that embodies serenity, purpose, and growth." If you find this wisdom helpful, subscribe and join this space dedicated to freeing yourself from relationships that drain your energy, so you can live with balance and fulfillment. Number 8. The ungrateful, the empty mirror of gratitude. In life's journey, it's not uncommon to encounter people who, instead of showing gratitude for the helping hands extended to them, react with indifference or even disdain. The ungrateful is the person who absorbs your energy, time, and kindness, but never reflects even a hint of appreciation. Helping them can feel like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you give, it's never enough. The ungrateful in action, an unbalanced relationship. Imagine you're sailing on a boat and see someone struggling in the water. Without hesitation, you jump in to save them, offering your lifeline. Once they're safe, you expect a smile of gratitude, or at least a thank you. But the ungrateful looks at you coldly and says, "You took too long. I could have drowned." These people not only minimize your efforts, but also seem oblivious to the positive impact you've had on their lives. They are like barren soil. No matter how much care and dedication you give, nothing blooms. The Stoic perspective, gratitude as a pillar of balance. Stoic philosophy teaches that gratitude is a fundamental virtue for maintaining emotional balance and living harmoniously with others. Marcus Aurelius reflected that we should be grateful for everything we receive, even difficulties, as they help us grow. But what do we do when gratitude is conspicuously absent in those we help? 1. Set clear boundaries. Recognize when someone is taking advantage of your generosity. If your efforts are not valued, don't be afraid to draw the line. Your energy is limited and precious. It's your responsibility to protect it. Like a lighthouse that only shines where it's needed, direct your light toward those who truly appreciate it. 2. Evaluate the worth of your help. Before getting involved, ask yourself, will this person value my effort? If the answer is no, save your energy for those who truly deserve it. Think of it as reserving an aged wine for a special occasion, rather than opening it for someone who doesn't even savor it. 3. Practice self-gratitude. Often in helping others, we forget to care for ourselves. Take time to reflect on your own achievements and surround yourself with people who value your contributions. The Stoics teach that gratitude begins within. You can't expect to receive what you haven't first given to yourself. The ungrateful as a life lesson. Accepting that the ungrateful exists and that they're unlikely to change can be liberating. Sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is learning to let go of the expectation of recognition. As Epictetus said, it's not the things themselves that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them. This means the emotional weight of dealing with an ungrateful person doesn't come from their lack of gratitude, but from our hope of receiving it. How to handle the ungrateful with Stoic wisdom. Define your priorities. Instead of wasting time waiting for gratitude, focus on those who truly appreciate your help. Accept reality. You can't control how others respond to your actions, but you can decide how to react to their lack of gratitude. Cultivate meaningful relationships. Surround yourself with people who value your time and energy. Life is too short to waste it on those who don't appreciate your efforts. The final reflection, gratitude as life's driving force. The ungrateful serves as a reminder that not everyone understands the value of generosity, but that doesn't mean you should stop being generous. Learn to be selective, protect your emotional balance, and invest your time in relationships that truly nourish your spirit. As the Stoics said, gratitude is the heart of virtue. Don't let others' lack of gratitude dim your light. Dedicate your efforts to those who value them, and always remember to thank yourself for the path you're walking. Gratitude doesn't need to be reciprocated to be valuable. It simply needs to be authentic. Number 9. The dependent, the infinite crutch in relationships. At some point in your life, you may have encountered the dependent, that person who clings to you as if you were the only lifeline in a stormy sea. Though their gaze may be filled with tenderness and desperation, this figure inevitably becomes an emotional burden, draining your energy and leaving little room for your own well-being. Who is the dependent? Imagine you're enjoying a calm afternoon with friends. The conversation flows until the dependent enters the scene. Within minutes, the light-hearted chat turns into a monologue about their problems, indecisions, and inability to find solutions. No matter how trivial the topic, whether it's deciding what to have for dinner or their latest existential crisis, everything becomes a drama where you're cast as the sole problem solver. The dependent doesn't just seek support, they want you to make decisions for them. And if you don't set boundaries, you'll soon find yourself carrying problems that aren't yours to bear. Stoicism and the art of managing the dependent. The Stoics, with their focus on self-discipline and independence, teach us that while we cannot control what others do, we can control how we respond to them. When faced with the dependent, it's crucial to remember that your well-being must come first. 1. Set clear boundaries. You are not obligated to solve other people's problems, especially when they're unwilling to try themselves. Picture yourself on a boat where someone starts making holes in it. Don't just stand there hoping the situation will improve on its own. Be firm and clear. I'm sorry you're going through this, but I can't help you with everything. 2. Encourage their independence. Instead of being the lifeline that always rescues them, act as a coach who pushes them to make their own decisions. Ask questions like, "What would you do if I weren't here to help?" This simple reflection can motivate them to discover their own ability to face challenges. 3. Practice emotional detachment. Don't let their problems become an emotional burden for you. As the Stoics teach, self-care is essential to maintaining your balance. Learn to listen without absorbing their energy, keeping an emotional distance that protects your inner peace. 4. Offer a rational perspective. Sometimes the dependent needs a change in perspective more than an immediate solution. Ask, how could you look at this from a different angle? Helping them reframe their situation can be more effective than simply offering them a way out. The Stoic lesson, you are no one's savior. The dependent can be a challenge, but you are not obligated to carry their burdens. Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, and that quality is compromised when you allow others to drain your energy without reciprocating. Your time and effort are valuable. If you don't set boundaries, the dependent will continue to see you as a crutch rather than an example of autonomy. Learn to say no with firmness and compassion." Balancing help and autonomy. Stoicism reminds us that true personal growth comes from facing our own battles. While it can be tempting to help those who seem to need us desperately, remember that not everyone is ready to change. The dependent must learn that independence is not a luxury, but a necessity for living a full life. Final reflection. The burdens worth carrying. As the Stoics wisely said, a shared burden becomes lighter, but not all burdens are worth carrying. Focus on those who are willing to grow and take responsibility for their own lives. By doing so, you not only protect your inner peace, but also foster healthier and more meaningful relationships. Life is too short to be the crutch for someone who refuses to walk on their own. Dedicate your energy to those who truly value it, and always remember that your well-being is a priority too. Number 10. The denier, the master of illusion. There are people who, when faced with reality, not only close their eyes, but construct an alternative world where everything operates according to their own rules. These individuals, known as the denier, live in a parallel universe where their illusions are more comfortable than the truth. Trying to help a denier is like teaching a fish to fly, frustrating, futile, and emotionally draining. Who is the denier? Imagine you have a map that precisely marks the correct path to a destination. Now imagine that the denier insists that path doesn't exist, that the direction you've shown isn't right, and that their completely broken compass holds the truth. No matter how much you explain, demonstrate, or even guide them, they cling to their version of reality, as a castaway clings to a plank in the ocean. The denier doesn't just reject the truth, they reject any form of help. Their denial becomes an impenetrable wall, where all logic bounces back without leaving a mark. Despite your best intentions, every effort to open their eyes seems to strengthen their resistance. Stoicism, and the challenge of the denier Stoic philosophy, teaches us to accept what we cannot change. When it comes to the denier, this lesson is crucial. No matter how hard you try, if they aren't willing to face the truth, you won't get anywhere. 1. Understand that it's not in your hands. The denier lives in their bubble, and breaking it is not your responsibility. As the Stoics remind us, we only have control over our own actions and thoughts. The denial of others shouldn't become your burden. 2. Set clear boundaries. Trying to reason with the denier can turn into an endless cycle of frustration. It's essential to protect your mental health. You can say something like, "I understand your perspective, but I can't keep investing my energy into this." This isn't about being insensitive, but about caring for your well-being. 3. Use irony as a tool. Sometimes a light approach can be more effective than direct confrontation. Pose questions or make comments that subtly highlight the absurdity of their denial, but do so with delicacy and humor. For example, what if north really is south? Maybe we should rethink all of geography. This approach might plant a small seed of reflection. 4. Surround yourself with clarity. Instead of exhausting yourself on someone unwilling to change, focus your energy on people who value your support and are open to growth. As Stoicism advises, seek company that inspires you to improve and move forward. Accepting the unacceptable. The art of letting go. Denial can be a stage of growth, but it's not always your task to accompany someone through their process. The Stoics teach us that sometimes loving someone means letting them follow their path, even if that path leads them to stumble. Truth has its own way of revealing itself, and the denier may need to discover it on their own. Stoic lesson: protect yourself from futile cycles. The denier can be a source of infinite frustration, but your inner peace must remain a priority. In Epictetus's words, it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but the opinions we hold about them. If you release the need to convince them, you'll also free yourself from the emotional weight that comes with it. Final reflection. Sometimes the only way to help someone is to let them face the consequences of their denial. If you ever find yourself caught up in trying to convince the denier that the sun rises in the east, remember that not everyone is ready to accept the truth. Your time and energy are valuable. Learn to invest them in those who are genuinely open to change and growth. At the end of the day, Stoicism invites us to choose our battles wisely. The denier may continue sailing in their bubble, but you have the power to step away and move toward clarity and peace. The bigger picture. A question of internal freedom. Ultimately, it's not just about identifying those who negatively impact your life, but about looking inward and asking yourself, why do I allow these people to stay in my life? What part of me needs healing to learn how to set boundaries and prioritize my mental peace? Stoic philosophy reminds us that we cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we choose to respond to them. And this choice, while seemingly simple, is often the most challenging. What does true liberation mean? Is it cutting ties, learning not to react, or discovering an inner strength that allows you to face any situation with clarity and serenity? The path forward. The journey toward fulfillment isn't defined by the relationships we leave behind, but by the quality of those we choose to maintain. And perhaps when we ask ourselves what kind of people we want by our side, we face an even more powerful question. What kind of person am I for others? Do I inspire, uplift, and nurture, or do I drain and complicate? These questions don't have immediate answers, but they invite deep reflection. Because in the end, life is about conscious choices, and every step we take brings us closer to or further away from the inner peace we seek. What choice will you make today? Your voice matters. I'm eager to hear your stories of overcoming these challenges. Share your victories, struggles, and experiences in the comments. If you're unsure what to comment, write, "I protect my peace, I care for my energy." This simple act shows you've embraced the session's wisdom. Don't forget to subscribe if this content resonates with you and aligns with your values of living a stoic and balanced life. Your voice is essential here. Each reflection strengthens and uplifts our community, reflecting the true value of every individual and contributing to our shared stoic identity. Are you ready to face life with a stronger and more peaceful mind? The path of wisdom, modern Stoicism for daily life, will give you the keys to developing resilience, clarity, and balance every day. Click the first link in the description for a 40% discount and start your journey today toward a life of wisdom and inner strength. If Stoicism resonates with your life and you feel that this content nourishes your path to greater wisdom and balance, join our exclusive members community. Your support not only allows us to continue creating content, but also to impact and transform the lives of more people who need this knowledge and guidance on their journey. More details in the pinned comment. We'll see each other in our next meeting in Stoicism for Winners, where we'll continue to explore the riches of Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Now, take this opportunity to expand your understanding of Stoicism with new recommended sessions. Until we meet again, remember, you are the sole owner of your perception, the creator of your peace, and the warrior of your own battles. This is the legacy of Stoicism, the art of being invincible.